6 o'clock now.
So what?
Good evening, councillors, and welcome to the Finance and Operations Committee, this being the 2nd December 2020. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land and pay respects to elders and the elders from other communities who may be here today. We also acknowledge all other people who have contributed to the rich diversities of this country. I'll call for apologies. No apologies, everyone is present. Next part of business is confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting. They have been circulated. If I could have someone move that, Councillor Claridge and Councillor Hearn. Put that to the vote. All those in favour? Governance matters. As councillors are aware, tonight's meeting is being recorded and streamed live. Behaviours at council meetings, I think councillors are all aware of that. And item C is disclosures of conflict of interest. Councillors have a conflict of interest, if they could please announce that now. Councillors, I will be declaring a conflict of interest tonight in relation to item 4, that being the community sponsorship program. One of those items that has been put forward for funding is a conflict of mine in relation to it being a school and my employment at the Department of Education and Training. We'll move to business, and that is the public submissions of any matter. And we'll move to item 2, finance reports for the first quarter ended 30 September 2020. Oh, councillors, sorry, just before we move to that, just a reminder that when speaking, you can remove your face mask and there will be no requirement to stand up in the meeting. Thank you. So we'll move to item 2, finance report for the first quarter ended 30 September 2020. Kathy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm happy to report for the first quarter of the financial year that we are ahead on surplus. We had achieved a surplus of 15 million, and we are $2 million ahead of favourable variance of 12.6. And there will be no surprise to you that the major change in the forecast has been in the operational grants area and the capital grants. We have been fortunate enough to receive a number of additional grants which are outlined on page 8 in item 4 and item 6, explaining the additional grants that we've received. The highlight item would be the drought money that we received, $1 million for the Drought Communities Program, which is split up between operating grants and also capital grants. So the impact for the first quarter is that we're significantly higher. We also have to recognise that in the period from July to September, we had a number of council facilities closed due to COVID, and so our revenue on our user charges is, as a result, down. And we are fortunate in Benalla to have experienced quite a bit of activity in the building and town planning area, even with COVID on, and we have managed to maintain our user charges, which is a highlight really for the quarter. The page 9 of the report shows the expenditure we've undertaken on operations, corporate division and the CEO's division, and it has been quite an active period. 15 million has been spent, whereas 12 was what we originally forecast. But because we had a number of carried forward items from the prior year due to COVID, the expenditure's gone into that July, August, September period. There are a number of carried forward items brought forward as well. Happy to say that our capital program has managed to be pretty much in line with what was originally budgeted. There are movements between different items, but overall we achieved 698 spend out of 689 budget. So there's only an 8,000 variance in that figure. You'll see on page 11, the forecast for the period up to the 30th of June has been undertaken. This was at the 30th of September timeframe, so again, COVID was restricting our movements considerably, and we were forecasting the crystal ball to see whether or not our venues would be open and the impact on our operating capacity. So based on that information, we are anticipating that we were originally going to have a deficit of $2.3 million, and now we're forecasting a surplus of 662. Again, the variance is due to credits. In fact, it's on page 12, item number 5, it outlines the significant items of grants that we're forecasting. And we've actually been advised of a few more since the 30th of September data, so our figures are looking quite good. We have experienced a few additional costs because of cleaning contracts, obviously because of COVID, and we have experienced some losses of or reduced income from the landfill because the Alpine region was not using our facility at that time because they didn't have visitors up there. So we've had a bit of a reduction on those, but they're the main highlights I can see. Has anyone got any questions?
Questions? Councillor Courage.
Yes, Kathy, on page 8, public open space contribution. These contributions, are they quarantined in the special account? And if so, how much do we have sitting in that account at the moment?
The contributions do come in as contribution in the income statement and are recognised each year, reported annually, but they do get quarantined in an account in the balance sheet. I can't, off the top of my head, confirm what the balance is, but I think it was in the $100,000 figure. It's not a large figure here at the moment. I can come back and confirm that.
No, that's fine. And just one follow-up, if you don't mind. The landfill, I was going to ask you the question, you would imagine that revenue at the landfill would have been up during this time, but if you've given the reason why Alpine weren't using the landfill, so that's fine.
So our commercial clients dropped somewhat. Domestic clients' volumes have gone up actually because we've all been home, filling up our bins. The EPA levy has been reduced, though because of the state government choosing to hold back the EPA levy, we may get a benefit out of that overall the whole year. But we'll have to wait and see what the volumes. Mr. General Manager has been monitoring the landfill for the last 3 months fairly heavily on the EPA side of things as well, so we'll wait and see.
Councillor Davis.
Thank you for the chair. Thanks, Justin. Kathy, wouldn't the lesser tonnages from Alpine on the bottom line be a saving to council due to the fact that we're not making any money out of that contract? So the less material we took from Alpine, then we at the bottom line should be looking better.
I'll come back to you on that one. I'm of the opinion that that's a commercial client, not a domestic, not a municipal client. So actually we make money out of commercial clients.
Thank you.
They're to the good, not to the bad.
Not the landfills.
Not the bad.
Waste.
No. Alpine's not municipal.
Are there any further questions from council? No, there is a recommendation, top of page 14. If I could have a councillor use that recommendation, Councillor Hearn, and a second Councillor Claridge. Choose to speak, Councillor Hearn.
Thank you.
Councillor Claridge.
I'd just like to congratulate Kathy on a great effort in putting this together, and I think we've dodged a bullet. A lot of other councils, I'm sure, will be in a lot worse situation than what we are. So I'm very thankful. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Claridge.
I
Councillor.
must apologise to Kathy because she stipulated Alpine commercial and I was talking, I thought Alpine was Mansfield, but my apologies. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. If no councillor wishes to speak, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour and against, that is carried. Quick reshuffle.
High country.
I can see.
I'm just not comments because listening.
Why you can say?
Okay, thank you, councillor. So we'll move on to item 3, capital project status report for the quarter ended 30 September 2020. And welcome, Jared.
Thank you. Evening, councillors. So, want me to say this?
No, can you take the last one too, Joe?
Pleasure. Okay, so the first quarter, which ended in September, which is quite some time ago now, and that's mainly involved around starting up projects and doing all the procurement activities. So I'll just go through those and I'll give you an update as to where we're up to at the moment, because it'll be a bit more relevant. So Williams Road, which was completed earlier this year, and we left the final seal till summertime now. We're waiting for it to get nice and warm and dry. So that's going to happen on the 14th of December, and then that'll be the final seal for that program. So we had to fit that in with the North and South quarry trucks and all their movements. The shoulder resheets, so that was programmed to commence in October, and that's now complete. The gravel resheets, they were that's completed, so that included those roads such as Inling, Lewis, Mitchell, Morngang, Porter, Sawyer and Polly roads. The crack sealing that commenced earlier on has been completed. The reseals, they're all completed, and we did an additional reseal from additional funding here in Ackley Avenue. The regulation, stabilisation and edging, those works are all completed as well. So with the grant funding and the opportunities, we've done a number of different designs for different projects, and so they started with original scoping and some indicative costs, and then some of those have been moved further forward, and we've done more detailed designs on those which have been passed on to further consideration. They included upgrades to Firth Road, Murray Road, some initial designs of Faulkner Drive to put in a couple of pedestrian crossings, and also to look at some improvements and repairs to the road, and probably some narrowing of the driveway. We've also looked in this precinct around here where the splash park is, to look at different accesses, which is around the ceramic, around the mural, and the future car park out in Mayor Street, and also from the visitor information centre down to the splash park. So from that they can do some detailed designs and take it for consideration. All our footpath works are completed, plus we did an additional footpath on St Mary Road down to Shawcross Avenue. Thomas Street footpath, that's just started, so that'll be finished fairly soon. With the VIC, we've done some initial layout plans and some geotech investigations, so they can be forward on for more detailed designs. The Rutland Street Sports Complex is progressing quite well, even though we had some delays for COVID, etc., and some delays in getting materials, but that's all picked up and it should be finished next week. Mayor Street, Mayor Street car park, so we had to do a new planning permit for that. We did some modifications, we took out one driveway. The house needs to be demolished, so we need to go through a demolition permit process, asbestos removal, and a few of those sort of things. And once that's done, we can go to tender for the construction of new car park. On plant equipment, so the jet patcher or road maintenance unit that's been delivered to the depot, and so they'll need to go through operator training and start using that. For the IT, for the server project, so a number of their servers have been installed and they'll go through a progressive installation, update and change over for the users. With waste management, so we've done a lot of work in the last 12 months on the design for a number of different areas. There's a lot of legacy issues out there. So basically we designed cell 3A and 3B, which is to incorporate the existing void. So that really becomes free space for council if we can utilise it. So that's all looking fairly positive at this stage. We've gone out to tender for cell 3 and 3A, or 3A and 3B, sorry. So we'll see how those numbers come in as to what part of the works we do, if we do it at one stage or two stages. We've also looked at the capping of cell 1, so we've gone out to tender for design consultants for that, so it's been set up. We'll start doing those works. And we've also looked at the rehab of area 2A, which is some of the earlier works. There's some legacy issues there, so we've been looking at what we can do there compared to what the initial designs were, and there's quite significant opportunities for savings out there at this stage. Okay, and there's all one cap, so the gas extraction has a part of it as well, so that's another part of the management of the landfill cells out there. You need to manage the leachate water, you also need to manage your gas. So it needs to be managed and measured and flared off if necessary. Transfer station, that was quite an ongoing process to get it to fit to the budget. And we had some delays, but it's picked up pace now, so it's going quite well. So the majority of the sawtooth has been constructed in place, and the big waste shed and the resource recovery shed, that's in the process of being put up. So if that all happens, we should go get the roadworks finished in a couple of weeks' time or before Christmas. And just got to settle a few issues from a contractor's point of view. Splash park. So we can all see that out there. It's a pretty popular thing. So that was finished before winter and was sort of put into mothball status and been brought out again since. Now it's up and operating. And we just finished off some of the landscaping works. We've got ongoing supervision, subdivision. So there's 1 4 mile road in Melody and there's another coming up shortly. And that's about it.
Thank you. Now, there are questions from council. Councillor Firth.
The other question I had was, Jared, with regards to the jet patcher, the training you told us before that due to COVID restrictions, we haven't been able to, do we know a time when we can get that training completed?
Yeah, unfortunately the trainers come out of Queensland, so that was all stopped. So they've been doing a little bit of localised training, but now that the borders are opening up, they can start to mobilise that, so I would say it happened fairly shortly.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Claridge.
Yeah, thanks, Gerard. Just on footpaths, we budgeted, I think, $164,000 last year for footpaths, which is a much greater spend than what generally is spent on footpaths, but we don't appear to be getting the word out there. The good news is we're doing footpaths. So I was wondering if in the future we can publicise a bit more clearly what footpaths we're doing and maybe get the common people to ensure that they notify the public that we are doing footpaths.
I think it's a fair comment, and also roadworks, but they're not very flavorful type things. And so, from a marketing point of view, without putting a comms person in, whatever, from a council point of view, yes, it's very true. And to try and market all these things like footpaths and the advantages of it, and also your roadworks, which is very important because it's, if you don't keep up your road assets and their maintenance, then those assets are going to fall behind. So.
Councillor Hone.
Thank you, through the chair. Gerard, just wondered, when do you propose that the transfer station would be operational?
At this stage, I'd say it's for January, February. It's up to senior management, but there's some other grants which have come through, so there's some other works going on. and be looking at connecting the whole Farnley Road, which will be a better option rather than trying to go through the existing site. And then there's some operational things that people can look at as to how they change the way the things that happen. At this stage, we'll just try and get a current contract completed and signed off, and then we can look at other things. So with Old Farnley Road, there's a few issues. We need to remove a few trees, so you need to go through a planning permit process for that.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
I have one.
Oh, Councillor O'Brien.
Through the chair. Jared, I'm Gail O'Brien. I haven't met you yet. I'm just wondering too about the jet patcher. I know nothing about roads, but I'm just kind of curious. I know that we're purchasing it. Does that mean that the road repair schedule will be any more efficient, or is it just as efficient with the previous machinery that we leased? But now we own our own. Would that make any difference? I'm just curious.
Well, it's modern technology, so you change the way you've done things in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an opportunity to do things better and more efficiently and cost less money.
Right.
And so it's in the technological advance. So you need to upskill your employees to be able to manage that. And it also gives you opportunities to do a lot more repairs yourself. So you can go ahead and do your own stabilisation patches, but you need to get some mechanical equipment. And you go ahead and that allows you to do emulsion seals. And you can also do some minor works around town to provide some emulsion seals for those to give you more longevity on your roads. But that in conjunction with a number of other things will give you a lot of opportunities to improve your performance and your efficiency.
I guess because there was such a time lag with some of those things you mentioned.
Well, the major works you contract out anyway. And in the case of reseals and things like that, because we've changed the way that we do our tendering and the way that we go about. So in the past, we would have done sort of smaller segments of roads, whereas now we've moved into doing much longer runs of roads. So we go from intersection to intersection. So you might do 10K and 15Ks in one run. And that gives you much larger economies of scale. So and by going out to tender early, you get very good prices. And by having an efficient method of doing your reseals, you get very, very good prices as well. So you get a much bigger bang for your buck.
Right. Thank you.
Are there any further questions, Councillor Davis?
No, could I move the recommendation, please?
You may. So Councillor Davis is moving the recommendation. Over seconder, Councillor Firth. Councillor Davis, you wish to speak?
Well, Jared, what can you say about this report? I don't know where your department's got the time to do it all. Can you pass congratulations on to all the staff involved? Because over last few years, some of this work's dragged on and on and on and been done in the last quarter of the year. You've gone and got all this work done in the first quarter of the year that needs doing, and you've said tonight that there's savings by doing it differently, and there are savings by getting out and getting the contract out early and getting the contractors on site early before they take on other commitments. So well done and keep good work up. And I know there's a lot of work in the pipeline coming on, and I hope you're as efficient with the future works as you are with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Councillor Firth, do you wish to speak?
Yes, through the chair. I was going to do the same thing. I hope I don't get too big a head, Jared, but the report just shows exactly what we've been trying to do for some time. And I know that the Williams Road upgrade was a fairly difficult one. I remember when it first started, that was going to be a real challenge. You've come and done it, and it's just about complete, and it's such an important thing for our community and going forward. The gravel reshooting, as Councillor Davis said, you've been doing it throughout the year. The whole process has been improved immensely, so congratulations to you and your staff. And it's as far as good news going out, the newsletter, I do believe, does detail quite a bit of the footpaths and the reshooting and the things like that. I know that there's just as many people watching this live stream as there reads the newsletter. I hope not. But congratulations and keep the job well. The other one that I would point out is the splash park, which was done on budget, on time, and it's probably the most popular thing that's ever happened in Benalla. So congratulations again. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Councillor Firth, are there any other comments from councillors? If not, recommendation to move, put that to the vote. All those in favour? And against, that is carried. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good evening, Gerard.
So we'll move to item 4, which is the 2020-21 Community Sponsorship Program. Councillors, as mentioned, I'll be declaring a conflict of interest in relation to application 2. So we might exercise that item and now get a report on application 1, 3, 4 and 5. Jane Nuttall.
Thank you, Mr Chair. Just for everyone's information, the community sponsorship program runs each month. So it's part of our annual program that we allow monthly contributions of up to $500 from local community groups and organisations, not-for-profit groups. So there's about 15,000 of our 90,000 that's allocated towards the monthly community sponsorship. And so far this financial year, we've allocated 1,200. So this time there's been 5 applications. We'll look at 4 first and then have a look at the other one when Councillor King is not present. So the 4 applications that we'll look at first is $500 being sought from the Benalla Swim Club. That's to hire out the Benalla Aquatic Centre for, they have 2 swim meets a year and this helps them cover the cost of doing that. So $500 requested there. The third one is Goulburn North East Arts Alliance, which is auspicing NEA, North East Artisans. They're seeking $500 also because they're moving premises into Carey Street and they want some assistance with signage so that people know where they are. The fourth one is the Albert Heaney Oval Reserve Committee of Management out at Swanpool, is also seeking $500. That's a local community organisation. They have a defibrillator there at the Oval and they want a battery replaced, which is quite expensive. So they're seeking $500 for that. And the last one on the back of, on page 21 is Corinda Village are actually seeking $500 for the hire of BPAC so that they can hold their annual general meeting in a COVID-safe way. So I'll just draw you to the recommendations there with the exception of the Benalla College. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Jane. Questions from Council? Councillor Claridge.
Yeah, look, I just have one, Jane. I presume Goulburn and North East Arts Alliance auspicing this because they are unincorporated. Is that the reason?
I would assume so, Mr Chair, yes. The only other reason that they might be doing it, and I'm not actually, I have to check that, Councillor Claridge, but normally they auspice on behalf of an organisation if they're not an incorporated body. I had actually thought that NEA were, but that might have lapsed.
You would have thought they were incorporated.
Yeah, I'll have to check that. So.
Are there any other questions from Council? If not, the recommendation is the top page 22. So this will be this recommendation will be voting on the Benalla Swimming Club, the Goulburn and North East Artisans Alliance, Albert Heaney Oval Committee of Management, and the Corinda Village Incorporated. Can someone move that? Councillor Davis and Councillor Firth. Do you wish to speak, Councillor Davis? No. Councillor Firth.
Nothing.
And any other councillors wish to speak? If not, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour and against, that is carried. So I will now excuse myself.
Justin, have a new form to the sign tomorrow, know about tomorrow.
Okay.
Does I-
Need to provide a reason why we're moving again, or if you
Thanks, councillor. Can I get somebody to elect a chairperson to one, like councillor? Councillor,
I'd like to nominate Councillor Claridge.
I have a seconder for that. Councillor Davis. No further nominations. If not, Councillor Claridge, can you come up and deal with one item, please?
Thank you, councillors. We are looking at item number 2 in item 4, which is financial support for the year 12 graduation. Okay.
Benalla P12 College is seeking $500 to support their annual Year 12 graduation. This is something that they do, each year and usually seek support for this. So again, I would draw you to the recommendation on page 22. That is because of the $500.
Moved councillor Firth, seconded councillor Hearn, sorry.
Good. We did that too.
Would you like to speak, councillor Firth?
No, thank you.
Councillor Hearn?
I'd just like to say that it's good to see us supporting our kids.
Would anyone else like to speak? All those in favour?
Sorry, I just got a question, Jane. I'm just wondering, how do all of these groups, does every group in Benalla know that this funding is available? Or do we need to kind of give them a reminder each year or something as a prompt?
Through you, Mr Chair, yeah, councillor O'Brien, we advertise it quite well.
Great.
It's certainly up on our website and we send regular emails and we do workshops with groups, particularly towards the beginning of the year to let them know about our funding opportunities. And we do, I think most groups are particularly familiar. It certainly doesn't hurt to keep promoting it.
Thank you.
But,
Would anyone else like to speak? All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you.
Short and sharp.
Wasn't it? For your information, Councillor King, that last item was passed.
Thank you. Okay, item 5 is Arts, Communications, Tourism and Events Department Activity Report for the quarter ended 30 September 2020. Welcome, Gillian.
Thank you, Mr Chair. This is the quarterly report for the Arts, Communications, Tourism and Events Department. I haven't done my induction on this department yet, but that's next week. This is to cover communications, events, tourism, the library, the art gallery and the Benalla Cinema. In March, on our website, we created a section dedicated to the coronavirus, covering 4 areas being about the actual virus, about council services during the period, about mental health services and also around business services. And for the quarter ended June, I reported that this was by far and away the most popular section of our website. And it was curious to me whether that would be sustained, and it has. It is still by far and away the most visited part of our council website. Normally it's always work for council. This time it's still this section. What's also interesting is during this period, because this department has been quite impacted with services being closed during the last 6 months, we have delivered a lot of gallery and particularly visitor servicing through the Joy Benalla platform, through our social media, through our websites and through our Facebook and Instagram. And you can see on page 23 the significant increase in follows and likes on those pages coming over this period when we have delivered so much across these digital platforms. Events obviously continue to be impacted. The one thing that we have done is put out the new category for our Australia Day Awards, being the COVID-19 Most Helpful Citizen Award. The award nominations close very shortly. During the period, we also received a $20,000 grant from the Australia Day Council to help make our Australia Day event a COVID-safe event. So it'll look quite different to how it does normally, but it will be a presentation. We'll still do our citizenship ceremonies, which are legislated, and be able to present our Australia Day Awards. The other big activity that we have started in the events category is our event capacity and capability audit. And this is the audit that looks at what is the capacity, as it's called, and capability of Benalla to host different types of events, looking at our accommodation and how much accommodation capacity we have, our infrastructure, our access, like our transport, not only through road but through rail and air, and also what our supporting clubs are and our the willingness of those clubs to be involved. So we're doing quite significant facility audits and our infrastructure audits,
And as a result of that, what will happen is that we'll know if Benalla is right to host the National Jousting Championships. It may bring 500 people here for 3 days. That'll make a significant contribution to the visitor economy. It might be that there are events that can come to Benalla that we haven't considered because this audit has shown us that our capability and our capacity is right for different types of events. With the library's now back open full hours. During the reporting period, it was closed and open for a period. Click and collect and call and collect were both very popular services during that period. During the first time we opened, people came back very quickly. We had an average of more than 80 people a day in the library. The second time we've opened, people have been slower to come back. People have still, even during the open periods, they still use click and collect and call and collect. So we've maintained those services. The gallery is now back open to full hours. It was closed for most of this reporting period. During the time it was closed, the gallery staff continued to work on what's known as the digitisation project. And this is a project where we've been able to do a complete audit of our permanent collection, which is a $25 million asset, and to ensure that the recording standards are of industry standard. It's been a very important project, and if there's one silver lining from the closure, we've been able to get to this project, which has always been pushed to the side because we just haven't had the resources to get to it. So this time has given us that capability. The Performing Arts Centre has been closed since March. It's reopening on the week starting the 14th of December with the first movie being shown on the 17th. It's been used as space for staff and also for council meetings and a few other meetings. Because of the space, it's been able to provide a COVID-safe environment. With the tourism sector, where the visitor centre is now reopened, we're closed still on Mondays, Sundays and Mondays because we're very dependent on volunteers and not all volunteers are wanting to come back out into a public-facing role. One of the big pieces of work that we did during this closure was work with local operators and businesses on their ATDW listings. This is the Australian Data Tourism Warehouse, where they can get a digital listing that flows through from Visit Victoria through to our own digital platform being Enjoy Benalla, and it gives operators and businesses a digital presence. When many don't have their own individual presence, they can have this one collectively. Mr. Chair, there's a recommendation on page 26, and I'm happy to take questions.
Questions from council? No questions? Very comprehensive report. If there's no questions, can I ask for a mover of the recommendation at the bottom of page 26, Councillor O'Brien and Councillor Gunaratney. Wish to speak, Councillor O'Brien? Councillor Gunaratney?
I think it's a very good comprehensive report, and especially looking at the second wave being going on, and it's a very good achievement.
Thank you. Any other councillor wish to speak? If not, put that to the vote. All those in favour and against? That is carried. Thank you. Item 6 is the Community Department Activity Report for the quarter ending 30 September 2020. Welcome back, Jane.
Mr. Chair, sorry, I'll take that down. This is the activity report for the Community Department for the last quarter. What I'll do is I'll just highlight a few from me last night with the induction. On the first page, I'd just like to highlight our rural outreach worker and just stress he's been continuing to work over this time, but of course has mainly taken calls. This, in fact, has been more than he would normally do, because normally he would visit probably about 7 clients a day. He's been able to make more calls over this time. And we have also been able to give out a few vouchers using funds that have been donated through the community So when he's identified that someone's in need, he suggests that they have some financial support. During this time, he's also noticed that men were accessing mental health support services more than he had found previously. Just looking at a couple of sections on the following page, maternal and child health recorded 29 births over the quarter. They did start their sleep and settling program, and there has been supported play work commencing with 12 families participating. Supported play work is for families who are really quite disadvantaged, so that's been wonderful for that too. And most of that has been online, but it's been very well received by the families participating. Our family services team over the quarter has supported 30 families, and I think I did need to really highlight that there are increasing complexity in some of the cases that the workers are working with, and 9 flexible support packages have been provided. So that's assisting families who are really struggling with whiteboards or school items or bedding or some larger items. And our family liaison worker has supported 10 families over the program. And as I have highlighted previously, this is actually a channel where they don't need to be referred through Family First or Child Protection, so it's more of an early intervention type program which complements our family services program. In the aged and disability services, clients and staff have been very pleased. We did a review over the last 18 months, and we were able to announce that after the findings from the review were that we were going to continue to provide services until June 2022. That created more certainty for staff and for clients, and that has been well received. Those services have of course continued over this challenging period, and because we haven't been able to use volunteers, it's been quite a stretch originally on all staff. Even our CEO was out delivering Meals on Wheels. We were all sort of batting in because we didn't have the volunteers, but towards the end of the quarter we actually offered additional work to our school crossing supervisors, so it was nice that we were able to share. And of course, we did have staff from other departments helping us when they weren't quite as busy as well. Over the quarter, the number of domestic assistance, respite care and personal care clients started to come up again, because we had had a little bit of a drop with clients feeling a little apprehensive, but this did mean that we were able to take some clients off the waiting list too, so it was a bit of a balancing act. If you just pop over the page, I did just want to highlight the state government funding that we got for the Community Activation and Social Isolation Project. We did get $58,000 for that, which has been really helpful for us. We did do a flyer promoting that we could help different people who might be struggling through the pandemic. And we pulled together a little local support network which had representatives from Benalla Health, Wollenda, the Men's Shed, U3A, the police and Tomorrow Today. So we were able to work in partnership to look at ways that we could support. So that included making weekly phone calls to people who said that they were struggling a little bit over that time. And also we were able to distribute, we got lots and lots of masks. In fact, I've got an office full of masks almost. I think we got many more than we really required. That included not only disposable ones, but also reusable. So we were able to distribute those because if you recall, there was quite a panic at the start and many people were struggling financially to be able to afford the masks. So it was good that we were able to offer some assistance there. And certainly anyone that came through community care, because we did remain open the whole time, we just gave them out masks. Just probably looking at the budget, and my budget is a little bit different. This is on page 33. You'll see that there's quite significant variance in my department over this time. And I'd probably just like to highlight, obviously the first one was a favourable variance because of that grant from the Australian Government for the Drought Communities Program, of which we were of course, able to allocate a number of those funds, so most of those will be disappearing shortly. With regards to all of the others, the favourable variance is primarily due to a timing in when we actually receive our grants. Sometimes we seem to get grants at the end of the financial year that need to, obviously need to be spent in the next financial year. And we did have significant funds that were carried forward in a number of programs where we weren't able to do a number of events and activities that we would normally have done due to COVID. And we did have a few staffing issues too. So, and I think in our aged and disability area, there was also, it's my understanding that debtor accounts were processed in July for June payments, which affected the income coming in as well. So I would draw your attention to the recommendation and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jane. Questions, Councillor Firth?
Yeah, Jane, thanks for the report as usual. Just a question on the L2P program. Your report suggests that the continued operation over the COVID time. The 3 on the waiting list, does that mean that there's 3 mentors? You've got a waiting list for the mentors?
Through you, Mr. Chair, what actually happens is they have to be trained before they can, so they do have to wait until training becomes available. They have to go through a series of training before they can actually get into the current young person.
Okay, so as a follow-up through the chair, mentors are not a problem getting, are we still?
No, we recruited extra mentors over that period. Mind you, some of the mentors, in going back, because of course the L2P, like many programs, was on hold and then they went back for a short time and now they've just started again with a very clear COVID-safe plan. But some of the mentors haven't felt as comfortable. They're older people, so only some of them have gone back. But there are a few new ones coming in. But of course, some of those young people have moved on and haven't necessarily required the service too. So we're just catching up really, because we are funded to support 30 learning drivers. And we usually have around 20 or so mentors. So the mentors have, the success of the program is entirely reliant on having community mentors. And they are fantastic, in the time that they give. Not the least of which is that initial training that they have to go through.
It's a long program.
The chair.
Yep.
Thank you, Chair. The supported playgroup under maternal and child health, was that a different one to PEEP?
Yes, review, Councillor King. Yes, the PEEP program is a fantastic program and that caters, as you would all know, for hundreds of families in the community. But the beauty about the supported playgroup, it is an alternative and it's perhaps for even the very disadvantaged community members who don't even feel safe sometimes going into a larger group. So it is more supported as the title implies. So it's often through child protection.
Okay.
And so often, not always, but it's families who are struggling a lot more and need a lot more support. And we hope that ultimately many of them will refer on to PEEP, so it really supplements the PEEP program.
Thank you.
Councillor Clary.
Yeah, thanks, Jane. I just note that the rural outreach is slightly over budget, and that's a really important aspect of work that it does. Do you have the capacity to cover a shortfall if it continues on and there is a shortfall in that area?
Can't get through you, but yes, because we do usually get quite a few community donations and so forth. That each year, as you would have seen, I think last night, we get sometimes up to about $4,000 that's donated from the community. So it's just not a matter of time on that too.
Thank you. Councillor O'Brien.
Thanks, Chairman. Jane, I just have a comment just about, I think your department just seems to have worked so across so many groups of people, with all the different groups coming together. I just think it's a real example of community spirit during first and second lockdown. I mean, we've all learnt a lot about it, but even Dom going out to help do Meals on Wheels, it's great to knock on the door and see the people that we're here representing. So well done.
Councillor Davis.
Just touching on what Councillor Claridge was talking about with our outreach worker, I was led to believe he was fully funded for 2 days a week or for the time that he worked. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. It's just some of those.
It's a timing issue, isn't it?
Yeah, well, there's some of those additional costs with the vehicle and so.
Okay, thank
So
you.
it's just a matter, I mean, look, that's a deal with my application.
Yeah, through the chair again, I thought the vehicle was part of the job or part of the equipment, so I thought we funded him for a couple of days a week with the vehicle for that particular purpose. But it's probably just timing issue, I would say. Would that be correct?
I wish all my young variances were, that's wrong.
Thank you very much, Dan.
Any further questions from the council? If not, there is a recommendation at the bottom of page 33. So I could have someone move that recommendation. Councillor O'Brien and Councillor Ahern. Do you wish to speak, Councillor O'Brien? Councillor Ahern?
No, thank you.
Any other councillors? Councillor Davis.
Just to say, Jane, good report, and through COVID, it's been a trying time for all staff, especially staff in your department that's so hands-on. So, thank you.
Any other councillor wish to speak? No? Okay, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Thank you, Jane. We'll now move to item 7, the business development activity report for the quarter ended 30 September 2020. Welcome, Catherine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening. I'd like to present our September quarter, and as you'll see from our report, there has been a fall of minus 4.4% of total employment. So prior to COVID, it was 5,212 jobs. Now it is 4,981 jobs, and the greatest decrease in employment has been in the retail trade, which is again as a direct result, we believe, of COVID. The median fall in employment across the state is 5.3%, so we're better than that. But obviously, it's anticipated that the negative effects of the pandemic will lessen as we continue to open up. The manufacturing sector is, of course, one of the greatest employers, followed by health. As you'll see on page 35, in terms of the employment impacts across the Murray region, you can see the comparison of minus 2.5%, minus 2.9 in April compared with minus 4.4. And some of the other councils across the region have fared a bit worse, and that's really because of their reliance on tourism, whereas we have a broader spread of industry in Benalla, so we haven't been quite as badly impacted as some. And of course, the national jobs rate is at 6.9%. So that's all sort of relative to the general jobs market at the moment. In this quarter too, the federal government introduced its Job Maker program, and that is focused on offering grants to employers to hire people under the age of 35. Some of the jobs, I guess, in the employment data, you have to take into account that you only need to be employed for 1 hour per week to be considered as employed. So we know that there's a big underemployment issue across the sector, and those that are currently on Job Seeker are counted, but the Job Keeper would not be counted yet because they're still considered to be employed by the employer. So I think when that ends in March, we will probably see quite an impact in stats. Other than that, our workforce analysis project was wound up in the last quarter, and we also were able, through Startup Shake-Up and some funding thanks to Business Victoria, to offer a regional resilience in the COVID economy. And there were 3 online virtual sessions facilitated by David Platt, who was with Resilient Futures. He was one of our keynote speakers at last year's Future Work Summit that we held here in Benalla, and that was had a really good opportunity, I guess, for people right across the region to think about what it takes to recover, to live through, I guess, this COVID experience. And we're just getting the feedback from that now of how people found it. But it was really around being agile. That was the focus, around not waiting and having that open mindset, and about taking action and trying things rather than sitting and waiting. And unfortunately, we know with COVID often has been a fear factor, but the people that were willing to adapt and change and the businesses that have been willing to do that appear to be coping much better because of that mindset. The other good news we had in this quarter was Startup Shake-Up, who had previously applied for an accelerator, a pre-accelerating incubator grant of 250,000. We've been knocked back, we've now been told we've got it. So that's great. So we'll be able to build a sustainable business model for the next, well, the idea is 3 years, but that grant is for 2 years, and the Royal City of Wangaratta is also seeing that grant. So the work that's been started here in Benalla with Startup Shake-Up can now continue, and we've got some really exciting projects that are happening. The Benalla Business Innovation Hub, we did apply for a Connecting Communities grant. I just heard just last week that unfortunately we were not successful with that one, but we'll keep looking for other options for that grant. And the 10 gigabit project we have now signed off since I wrote this report, and that project will commence in February. And it's looking at the 10 gigabit, we're looking at what the most suitable options are for reliable upload and download speeds in Benalla, and to have them at a competitive price point. So we want Benalla to be innovative, and fast internet, as we know, is a big part of that, as COVID and all the digital learning has shown us. And businesses who aren't online, who don't have an e-commerce site, for instance, are also feeling the impact at this stage too. In terms of business events, we usually offer a full program, and all of our events have gone online during COVID. And we partner with a range of partners, including ASBAS, Buy From North East Victoria's run a few, Startup Shake-Up, Tourism North East, the Australian Retailers Association, Small Business Victoria, and the Victorian Chamber of Commerce have also all run business events, which, again, the silver lining of COVID has been that those events have all pretty much been free. So as long as you've got internet connection, you could jump on and have a fantastic range of professional development available on your computer. The list of topics is actually always posted on the Supporting Benalla Facebook page, and there's a link on that on our council website page directly to there as well. And just finally, on page 39, probably a highlight has been that I've been working on our Buy From North East Victoria, which started as Buy From Benalla, the pilot project, and has now been rolled out across 6 communities across North East Victoria. We were able to secure a $35,000 grant, and that was to enable the platform to be strengthened. So we created a range of different resources to help train businesses. We created videos and other tip sheets, and a large part of that focus has been on the collaborative nature, I guess, of the platform, so having town teams. So currently we've got about 80 registrations on that Buy From Benalla platform, 80 businesses who've signed up, and about 400 across North East Victoria, and we'll continue to work with all of the councils on that. And as part of that, we also received $10,000 for our Digital Innovation Festival this year, and that also was focused on, I guess, digital inclusion for our businesses that perhaps aren't quite as digitally savvy, and that allowed a lot of mentoring and yeah, I guess the behaviour change that's needed to see that this digital space is not going away, and it's really important for businesses to be part of that. So I'm happy to take any questions, Mr. Chair.
Questions, Councillor Firth.
Okay, thanks for the report, as usual. With regards to the unemployment, that's a great part to put in there, because it highlights how Benalla really has got a broad base of employment. One question I'd like to ask is, given our vicinity to the Golden Valley, and it's been widely advertised that they're going to have issues getting pickers and workers for that, do they have any advertising campaigns or people looking a little bit further afield, such as the Benalla area, Wangaratta area, whatever, with regards to getting people to go over there and pick? It seems to be that they're always worried about that they're relying on backpackers and so forth, and they say that Australians won't pick fruit, but I just wonder whether or not they would if they could organise some kind of transportation for them. Are there any feelers like that out?
I haven't had direct contact, but we do have our Hume Economic Development Group, And I can certainly reach out to them to see, what it is we could do. That old, that dog chestnut of transport is obviously key. I think our jobs providers are certainly working with, there are specific, harvest jobs providers.
Well, it just seems to me that some of the employers would probably, get something together. It would be in their interest anyway, but it's just something to put out there.
I can certainly take that on notice and find out where we can get back to you.
Thank you.
Councillor Burridge.
Yes, thanks, Catherine. I have a question which I have asked before, so you may have to take it on notice. There appears to be a perception among quite a few people in Benalla that Benalla people aren't given a fair go when it comes to getting a job at the solar farms. They seem to think that it's backpackers, and if you live in Benalla and you want a job at the solar farm, it appears to be hard to get a job. So do you know if that's the case, or is it just a perception?
I would suggest it's a perception, but again, I'm happy to follow up and find out from the HR people. I might add to the CEO who I know has been liaising. Dom, do you know anything?
Thanks. Just through the chair, I will take it on notice. I have monthly meetings with the solar farms, so I will raise that with the manager next time I speak to them and report back to the council. But my understanding is that locals are employed through there, and people are travelling into the region as well. Through the height of COVID, I know they shut out a lot of people coming from Melbourne, but basically concentrated on the northeast. I believe that a lot of people are actually staying at the camps out there as well. So there is a good cross section of locals, itinerant workers coming in from Shepparton, Wodonga, Wangaratta, and obviously people in Benalla as well. So I will report back to the council on that.
Great, thank you. As I say, there is perception out there. I think we can clear that up to make sure that's not the case.
Thank you, Councillor Burridge. Any other questions from councillors? Catherine, I have one just in regards to the federal government's JobMaker program. Has council played a part or played a role in that, I guess, promoting that to local businesses, either through the BBN or through any sort of channels?
There is actually an e-newsletter about to go out about that, but all of those sorts of things are up on our website under the COVID area in the business section. And because it's been changing so rapidly, obviously, rather than putting up each thing, we just put the link to where so it's actually Business Victoria or DHHS or whoever. So we're not trying to replicate, we're just trying to direct people to the source, the one source rather than lots of different confusing things. So we will certainly continue to promote between JobKeeper, Job Seeker and that JobMaker. There'll be ongoing, helping businesses to navigate what's needed.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, if there's no further questions, councillors, there's a recommendation at the bottom of page 40. I'll just have someone move that recommendation. Councillor Firth and Councillor Davis. Do you wish to speak, Councillor Firth?
Only to say thank you for your report, and it's very good to see you highlighted that our unemployment is better than everybody else's.
Councillor Davis?
Once again, a great report. Thanks, Catherine.
Any other councillor wish to speak? If not, that's the vote. All those in favour and against, that is carried. Thank you, Catherine. Item 8 is the Finance Department Activity Report for the quarter ended 30 September 2020. Welcome back, Cathy.
The Finance Department has been active in June, July, August and September trying to do the annual performance statement and the performance reporting. Happily, all went through with the approval from the Victoria Auditor General Office, and all the annual reports and returns have gone through in compliance with the timeframes that were set. Over the last 3 or 4 months, we've had a serious look at our sundry debtors, and as part of the 30th of June assessment for the annual statement, we undertook a review of all outstanding debts, and we contacted all of our debtors that were on a long unpaid line, and it made arrangements with them for payments, or came to the conclusion that with COVID we had to write some off, so at the 30th of June some were written off. But you'll see the balance of our debtors at the 30th of September is 778,000 compared to the prior year of 1.5 million. So we have been across our debtors, and people are trying to pay if they have the funds, and we are not extending credit beyond what we think is reasonable in the current tight environment. We have been fortunate enough to receive repayment of the Victorian Grants Commission in June, which meant we are cashed up at this time of year. Unfortunately, the return on our investments, the interest rates are like 0.56 or 1.02, which are actually quite low, and we're a little bit behind on the return that I thought we would be getting in the first quarter because the rates are so low. But it's better to be cashed up than not have it. As a result of having the cash, we have also been endeavouring to turn around creditors' payments as quickly as we can within the local community to keep the cash flowing. So we've been in a fortunate position of being able to do that. The revenue and property area had an annual revaluation, and the objections were due in on the 11th of October. Some of those are still yet to be finalised. Obviously, there's a few issues with COVID-19 and being able to go out onto people's properties, but we're hoping that they'll be sorted by quarter two in the report for 31st of December. We have been very fortunate in that our community has endeavoured to pay their rates, and we have had some conversations going with some ratepayers who have been in need of using our COVID-19 hardship support policy for not charging interest. But we have also been very fortunate in many people ringing to explain that they're having issues, but they're trying to knock off their rate payments in fortnightly payments or weekly payments, and we are still contacting them just to keep the conversation going. We are issuing follow-up notices for if you put it into the pile and haven't processed the bill, which happens often, and people are coming back and paying. But we do have a list of people who have contacted us who are having COVID hardship and payment plan or endeavouring to make settlement. We have had a number of properties settled that have also sorted out some back rates that are outstanding. So overall, we are actually doing quite well, which is good. But the community has expressed its thanks for no interest until the 31st of March, because people are really trying to just address the shortfall that is going on in some people's lives at the moment. The other highlight I would just make is the street numbers have gone up again, which is always a positive. On page 44, we've been issuing 21 in the last quarter compared to 9 in the quarter of June. So that's 21 more new numbers going out there. So it just reflects the increase in houses and property splits that are going on in our community, even with COVID going on. So that's a bit of a positive. I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions?
To the chair. Going to the sundry debtors, what sort of debtors are there? That's excluding rates, is that right?
Yeah, yes, that's right. Sundry debtors are Meals on Wheels, and community care debtors as well. And those people are still trying to meet their commitments. They also include waste debtors that we have at the landfill. So we have some commercial debtors and miscellaneous debtors if they've operated using the sale yards as a drop-off point for animals, collections, survivors, and other miscellaneous debtors.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other questions from Council? If not, there is a recommendation at the bottom of page 45. Will Councillor move that recommendation? Councillor Hearn and Councillor Fennerani, do you wish to speak, Councillor Hearn?
To you, Mr Chair, just to say it's a great report. Good to see how much money is coming there, and nice to hear that we're looking after our community with our COVID plan.
Councillor Gallarani, do you wish to
Thank you, Chair.
speak? Any other councillor wish to speak? If not, I'll put that recommendation to the vote. All those in favour? And against, that is carried. Thank you. Item 9. People and Performance Activity Report for the quarter ended 30 September 2020. And welcome, Janine.
So, this report presents the activity of the People and Performance Department for the quarter ended 30th of September. Just a couple of points to note. In the customer relations area, we reopened the doors to the public on the 21st for 5 days a week from 10 till 2. However, we are now open full time. Interesting that the customer requests have increased during that quarter by 40%. We're not sure why. We think that maybe there are more people working from home or home not working, and they have more time to notice things, and therefore they're reporting more. But other than that, we've got no idea why they have increased so much. And again, we're on page 49. In the information management area, we continue to see in this quarter an increasing number of council inbox emails being processed and a decline in hard copy. Once again, we think this is due to the COVID times and there are less people out and about and more people using the digital platform. And also our website makes it easy for people to contact us that way. In the volunteer area, we had in that quarter 38 volunteers return, and the majority of those were the opening of the Red Before bookshop. However, currently we've got 111 volunteers returned to the program. So I would like to take you to page 51 and recommend that the report be made.
Thank you, Janine. Any questions for Janine? Councillor Burridge.
Yeah, look, I just have one question, Janine. Concerning the 40% increase in the quarter with the requests, has there been a trend that you've noticed in what type of requests? Are they COVID related?
Through you, Mr. Chair. No, in speaking with the customer relations coordinator, no.
Just general.
And yes, there's no general trend. Just generally people are putting in more requests.
Thank you.
Councillor Firth? No?
Scratch my head.
Any other questions from council in regards to this report? If not, the recommendation is at the bottom of page 51. If I could have someone move that recommendation. Councillor Farage and Councillor Gallarani. Do you wish to speak, Councillor Farage?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councillor Gallarani?
No, thanks.
Any other councillor wish to speak? If not, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? And against? That's carried. Thank you, Janine. Item 10 is councillors' expenses for the quarter ended 30 September 2020. I'll hand that one over to myself.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just take the report as printed, and obviously there is a recommendation at the bottom of page 53.
Councillor Davis.
I will move that recommendation.
Happy to move that recommendation. There's no questions first.
Oh, sorry.
If there's no questions, Councillor Davis will move that. Councillor Firth, are you seconding that? You wish to speak, Councillor Davis?
No, thank you.
Councillor Firth?
No more than just to say good report, it's very short.
No other councillor wishes to speak. I'll put that recommendation to the vote. All those in favour? And against, that's carried. Thank you. Item 11 is CEO credit card for the quarter ended 30 September 2020.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Once again, an even shorter report for you, Councillor Firth. I'll take that as presented.
No questions from council?
Happy to move it.
Councillor Firth moving that and Councillor Hearn. use to speak? Councillor Firth? No, thank you. Councillor Hearn? No councillor wishes to speak. I'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? And against? Carried. Thank you. And we'll close the meeting at 7:15.